Greetings, people. It's Mr. Pooh, the Trigger, yet again on another episode of the Enlightenment series. So I have practically few questions that I have that I would wish we can have an engagement on, that I would wish we can address as people. Because the most important part of these conversations of the Enlightenment series, it's your feedback. Because most people are getting enlightenment from the stuff that you respond to in the comment section, from the scripts that you write in the comment section. Because this is a platform that is open to all the charlatans. All of them are consuming what you people are saying in the comment section. So there's a formula to people that know how we roll here, how we engage on each and every episode that I put through when it comes to commenting, especially when they are watching the Enlightenment series episodes. Whenever I'm doing the Enlightenment series, whenever I'm doing episodes of the Enlightenment series, you don't really have to wait for the video to end for you to give your remarks or your insights. Every time you are watching, the moment I hit a punchline that resonates with something that you know, you pause the video and you drop the comment. And it's very important sometimes that you also put the time at which you are making that comment on. So by the time I finish the video, you've already put different remarks and insights. Because if you wait for the video to end so that you can make a contribution, you might end up not knowing which issue to address or which issue to respond to. So I always advise the people that are consuming the episode of the Enlightenment series to always post the video whenever I hit the punchline or whenever I say something that relates to something that they want to be addressed. And when you post the video, you leave your comment and then you highlight at which time were you placing this comment. You keep watching again and then you pause when I hit a punchline that resonates with something that you know, you leave a comment. By the time I finish the video, you've already added so many remarks and so many comments. And for sure, I go through each and every comment. And on this particular episode, I want us to go through a certain comment that was dropped by one of my sisters from my YouTube platforms. I don't know if I should mention her name or if I shouldn't, but just for privacy's sake, we are just going to analyze that comment, and then we're just going to put it into perspective, because when I also went through that comment, there are two things that rang in my head. And one of the issues that I want to ask, one of the questions that I have to people out there, to Christian, to ex church goers, because 99% of the people that are here, they're no longer going to church. They are all church dropouts. They dropped out from all of these shrines, because one thing that they figured after so much investment, after so much time of going to these churches, of going to these religious gatherings, is that nothing is changing in their lives. Nothing is moving, but they're only being left on minus. They are only giving to the papa, they are only giving to the mama, to the church, hoping that they are seeding on the good ground, on a fertile ground, not knowing that all the money that they are depositing, all the money that they are leaving on the altar is just going to waste. It's never going, the seeds that they are putting on the altar, they never germinate. They've never germinated. They've never reaped a single seed that they sowed in these religious organizations. You in question, because I know most of you have been in these churches. You have been seeding in these shrines. What do you have to show today as proof that I seeded for this long, or I invested in these shrines for this long, and this is what I have to sow? This is what I reaped from these religious organizations, or from Adeboye, Jeremiah Omoto, Sulumen, or any other, Chris Okafo, Chris Oyakilome, Isaac Idaosa, all of those, the DGOs, Abel Damina, Paul Enenche. You have been sending, you have been giving huge sums of money as contribution, as tithe, thinking that you're supporting the work of God, thinking that you are supporting the ministry of God, of Jesus Christ, thinking that you are supporting the movement that is meant to change people's lives, because that's what we all expected church to be. We thought church would change the lives of people. We thought church would reduce the moral dependency, the moral decay in our communities, in our societies. We thought church would curb crime rate in our societies, in our communities, in our nations, in Africa at large. We thought church would shape the moral fiber of our youth. We thought church would be a place where broken people go to and then they can be rehabilitated, then they can be reconfigured, then they can be given hope. But church has become the most dangerous place to be. Church has become the most dangerous place to go to. Because what these your DDGOs, what these your spiritual fathers, what these your prophets have been doing over the years to their followers, to their loyal members that attend their shrines is despicable. They are heartless. They don't care about anyone. All they care about is how much can they take from whosoever is subscribed to their shrines. So the question that I have for you, that I expect you to actually comment before you proceed is, why did you leave church? Or why are you no longer going to church? Why are you a church dropout? I want to know the answer to that question before we go any further. So you pause this video and you tell me the reason why you're a church dropout. You give me the reason why you're no longer going to church. Because that part, this segment of the video, it means a lot. It goes a long way. We want to know your experience. At what point did you get enlightened? At what point did you start seeing the light? At what point did you open your eyes and realize that this whole thing is a scam? Church is a scam. Church is a typical pyramid scheme. Church of today, it has nothing to do with you, especially if you're just a regular member. It has nothing that will change in your life, especially if you're just a regular member. It's a clique of the top tier members, the finance directors, the accounting officers, the DGOs, and his family who will benefit from this institution, organization called church. Are we saying church is bad? Church is not bad. We need as many churches as possible. But churches that are actually bringing some resolution, some transformation. Churches that are preaching the true gospel of Christ. Not these religious entities that we have today. That have nothing to do with the truth. That are misleading Christian believers. We don't need these ones. That's why we need to go back to where it all began. We need to reset to default settings. We need to go back to the beginning and fix this mess and restart these organizations called churches and rebuild them, reconstruct them on biblical basis, on a biblical foundation that is not manipulative to anyone. So you tell me now, why did you leave church? Why did you stop going to church? Why did you boycott these religious organizations? Why are you no longer calling someone your spiritual father? Why are you no longer submitting to Papa, to Dada, to Tata? Because I've seen so many people who were still gullibles at some point. They'll be kneeling before their father, their spiritual fathers, they call them. They would boycott all their other responsibilities. They would spend 24/7, Monday to Sunday, in church gatherings, coming up with programs for the spiritual father, because the spiritual father is now fully employed in the ministry, and his clients are his congregants. Those are the people that he is preying on, that is trapping, that is conditioning, so that he can make them believe that the best place to be at any given time is in a church. You must make all your sacrifices for God. And the way you make your sacrifices for God is by giving to your spiritual father, by giving to your spiritual mother. While your kids are not eating at home, while your kids' school fees is not paid. Most of you have taken loans. Most of you have taken all your pensions. You've given your mortgages. You've given your houses, your cars. All the money that you had in your bank account, you withdrew it, you gave it to the papa. You invested it in these shrines, hoping that you are doing it for God, thinking that you are doing it for God. Yet you're just manipulated to believe so. So here comes Mr. Pull the Trigger. He's now shedding more light to you to tell you that everything that they told you was a lie. They lied to you. They tricked you. They guilt-trapped you. into doing what they wanted you to do, not what Christ wants you to do. So by now, I'm sure you've answered the question, why did you drop out of church? If you've answered that question, then let's get to the comment that I want us to analyze that was dropped in the comment section by a particular lady. And this comment was responding to the request that was made by Adeboye when he was inciting his followers to drop down $1 billion or 100 million naira on the altar to come and give Adeboye 1 billion naira. This conversation, this part of the video, it triggered so many emotions amongst many believers out there who now began to start asking questions. What is all this money for? Why do we have to keep giving to Adeboye billions? Adeboye has many billions already. So this lady was responding to that video that I did, that I analyzed. And this was a comment. I'm going to read the full comment and I'm going to break it down into two pieces so that you can see what I want you to see. You can see the light that I want to share with you so that you can look at this on a bigger spectrum. You can actually see the bigger picture. There are one or two reasons why Adeboye makes such big calls, calling out people to come and seed 1 billion naira in his shrine. And most of the time, it's not because he believes there's anyone that can come. No one in their rightful sense, no businessman, an economical person can come and seed 1 billion, can go and withdraw 1 billion from their business account and say they are going to seed it on the altar and say they are going to give it to the ministry, to the church, to Mr. Adeboye, when there is no value exchange. That does not make any economical sense. Whenever you give money to church, what value are you getting in return? Other than a promise that things will change in your life. I wouldn't want to believe that there's a noble businessman that can take, only business people are the ones being targeted by Adeboye when he calls out, make such huge bold claims or such huge call to action to say bring $1 billion US, 1 billion naira or 100 million naira. He's targeting business people. But the question that I want you to ask is he really expecting someone to bring $1 billion US or it's a gimmick? Chances are it's a gimmick. There is something that he's trying to cover up. And in most cases, when they do this kind of call to actions with such big sums, they want to do money laundering. So they need some form of a program that can justify on their accounts that we did a program and we called our members to come and support with money. And someone who was anonymous came forth with 1 billion. 10 anonymous people came and contributed 10 billion, came and contributed 50 billion, came and contributed 100 billion. So on their financial statements, everything is going to make sense now. That we had a program and we called people to come and support the program and 100 people turned out, each with 1 billion. That's why we have 100 billion in our accounts. But the main issue is, were these people really contributing, or this was some big politicians in Nigeria that wanted to launder money through the church? And they had to do just this call to action so that they can justify it. So that they cannot be questioning. There will be no red flags in their accounts. People, I want you to start thinking outside the box. I want you to start seeing what you've not been seeing for all this while. Because one thing I can tell you from that previous video when Adeboye was calling for people to come with 1 billion, I can tell you one thing for sure. More than 200 people went and gave 1 billion, 1 billion. Or nobody even went there. But they just needed that call to action so that it can be justified. That when we made this altar call, 100 anonymous people came. Maybe Adeboye already had $100 billion that he wanted to launder for some politicians, for some whoever, for some big business people, illegal money that comes from the streets. And the only way they can move this money is by having programs which can substantiate the figures on their financial statements. Before we get deeper, let's read the comment. And when we read the comment, we'll break it down into two pieces. And you understand where I'm getting at. And you understand what I'm trying to say. That these churches are the ones destroying our economies. Not just our economies, but they are brainwashing masses and leading masses astray. So the comment reads, this was a response to the video that I did of Adeboye calling for 1 billion naira or 100 million naira. So this lady articulates her points like this. This is a dance between religious leaders in Africa and politicians. No sensible and hard-working business person will withdraw 1 billion naira from their business to give to church. Only politicians and corrupt government workers can embezzle such amounts and give to religious entities. Who is fooling who? I was in church for 20 years and could not buy a plot of land even after so many annual 50 to 100 days fasting programs, 10 to 15% tithes, monthly thanksgiving and mission offerings, 4 weekly programs which all included offerings, annual pastor and his wife's birthday and appreciation offerings, and annual crossover offerings and vows. We left not just RCCG, but any religious group and relearned true spirituality. In a year, we were able to do major generational investments. These men are using religion to build financial empires for their unborn generations too. People should stop and just think for a bit. This comment enlightened me also, and I hope it's going to enlighten you also. The first segment of the comment, the first segment of what this lady articulated was centered around the issue that I raised earlier to say there is no sensible businessman that can take 1 billion naira and give to a church. Impossible. It never happens. It can never happen. Unless there is some form of embezzlement that is in the pipeline. Unless there is some money that needs to be moved, that is about to be moved. So Adeboye will not be able, sometimes they don't disclose these details of their embezzlement activities to their CFOs or sometimes to their accountants. So they need to make this call to action so that they will justify it to them, to tell them that, listen, that's why he said, I want you to see my personal assistant in the office and I'll give you a special direction. So you'll be able to say, you know what, 10 people came forth and they made contribution. So classify this 200 billion as an offering or as a donation, and it's always tax deductible. Do you see how smart these people are? There's probably a giant politician who approached, who gives money to the likes of Adeboye to launder it for them, to launder it on their behalf. That's why these prophets, these JDGOs are never touched. That's why their churches, their shrines are never audited. That's why they are never monitored. Simply because there are some major key players in the country, especially in politics, who have invested in these shrines, who have specific interests in these religious organizations, because these religious organizations, they are playing a bigger part of a role in facilitating their corruption, the corruption of your politicians. So there's always this kind of a link or connection between the politicians and the DGOs and the religious leaders. And that's where the connection is. It's always about the money. Politicians will protect these DGOs. Politicians will never call out these DGOs. Politicians will never call out Jeremiah Omoto for fame because they have some major interest invested in the operations of these religious organizations. Most of these religious organizations are just fronts for embezzling funds, for moving out money out of Nigeria, for moving out money out of South Africa, for moving out money out of Zimbabwe, moving out money out of Malawi, moving out money out of different African countries. Because no matter how much these churches move out of the country, who's going to question them? Who's going to check their financials? Who's going to audit them? They don't even pay tax. They're just operating freely, untouched. So don't you think it's a very good opportunity for any corrupt person to use the accounts of churches or to use this channel of churches to move out their money that they've stolen, money that was supposed to use for developmental projects in your country? There's high employment in Nigeria right now, and most of you are asking yourself, why is there is so much money that is being moved out. You are protecting these churches. This day you wake up to your conscience and know that these churches are actually the reasons why the majority of Nigerian youth are suffering today. Then you will become rebellious youth. Then you will now start calling for these shrines to be closed. You start now calling for these shrines to be monitored, for these shrines to be under strict supervision, for these shrines to start paying tax. Nigerian youth, it's time for you to wake up. It's time for you to smell the coffee. It's time for you to start asking certain questions. It's time for you to now fighting for your future, for the future of your children. If you don't stand up now, if you don't call out these DDGOs now, if you do not question these things now, no one else will do it for you. And it's your future, it's our future that will be doomed. So in the next section, in the second part of her comment, she was mentioning how much time she has spent in RCCG, how much money she has invested in RCCG. Because if you look at the structure of how these shrines work, there are different programs, there are different offerings, there are different contributions that have to be made. For him and the wife to have a birthday, you pay a lot of money. From Monday to Sunday, there are programs, you pay a lot of money. She mentioned quite a lot of things that she was investing in, that she was paying for in this shrine or in one of these churches. And nothing has ever materialized on her end other than the withdrawals that she was constantly making, thinking that she's doing it for God. Yet she was doing it for Adeboye and his children and his children's children. You, my friend, you, my mother, you, my father, every time you give money to these shrines, you are robbing into the future of your children. The money that you're supposed to be investing for your kids, you are giving it to Adeboye or Adepo or to any of these religious leaders. And they are securing the future of their children, whilst yours have no future at all. Wake up. Start smelling the coffee. Don't allow these people to guilt trap you with religion. Don't allow these people to threaten you with the hell. There's no hell that is coming. Just live righteously, just follow the commandments of the Bible, and you are good. Grace will do the rest. Just become close, have a solid relationship with Christ, have a solid relationship, a good relationship with God, and obey his commandments, and you are set. And start thinking on your own. Don't allow them to think on your behalf and impose these religious principles that are out of context to you, that guilt trap you and make you think that you have to give them your money for you to be blessed, or for the gates of blessings, for the floodgates of blessings to be opened. That is just a pure scam. It never works. That's not how it works. Now she said, the moment I left this shrine, the moment I left RCCG, I started making major investments for myself and my family. And things have changed. Things have moved in the positive direction. Now we can boldly confirm that we have many acres of land. We have invested in different projects because she's no longer subscribed to these religious organizations. She's no longer giving money to these religious organizations. She's now focusing on herself and her family. She's now investing in projects that have a good return on investments. There's no return on investment when you put money in church. It's just money that is going down the drain, money that is being wasted. So that is my message to all my people out there, that it's time for us to start thinking, let this have a ripple effect. Share this message with other people. Also give those people that are still giving money to these religious organizations some insights. Open their minds also, so that they can have an idea, they can have some form of a revelation. Because they say you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. These people are in the frame. They can't see the picture. You are the one that can see the bigger picture now because you're out of these shrines. The veil of ignorance has been peeled off from your eyes. You can see clearly. So it's your responsibility as well to protect the flock, fight for the flock, and also enlighten the flock and show them that this whole thing called church, it has come. With that being said, I'll check you out on the next episode of the Enlightenment series. It's Mr. Pull the Trigger. Leave your review, leave your remark in the comment section. Let's engage and let's keep fighting for the flock and protecting the integrity of the body of Christ. I'm out.